Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Match Week 2 predictions, where of course in today's video we'll be discussing every single game for this upcoming Premier League weekend. And let me just tell you, Premier League Match Week 2, it's definitely got something special about it, because we've got fantastic fixtures such as Arsenal versus Chelsea, where we might just get to see the likes of big old Romelu Lukaku feature for Chelsea versus Arsenal. I don't know about you, but that just sounds like a fantastic game waiting to happen. We've also got Wolves versus Spurs, where of course Nuno Sancho will manage Spurs versus his old team. We've also got Leicester City versus West Ham, Leeds versus Everton. I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic Premier League match weekend that you definitely will not want to miss. And of course I'll be covering all of those games in today's video. Now the way this video will work is, first of all, we'll react to last week's predictions, see how they went, and then we'll be talking about Premier League Match Week 2, my predictions for this upcoming match week, along with players that I think you should keep an eye out for. Now, of course, looking at my predictions last week, I'm pretty happy, I'm going to give myself a tiny bit of a pat on the back. 7 out of 10 predictions correct, 2 exact predictions, only 3 wrong. I don't know if it could have started off any better, to be honest with you. I guess I could have gotten 10 out of 10 predictions correct, but moving on. Of course, the 2 predictions I got exactly correct was Chelsea's win over Crystal Palace and also Leicester City's win over Wolves. And the 3 predictions I got wrong, unfortunately, I got the likes of Watford versus Aston Villa incorrect. I thought that Aston Villa would get quite a comfortable win. Obviously, Spurs' win over Manchester City I didn't see coming. And obviously, the 3rd prediction that I got wrong was Brentford's win over Arsenal, which I thought it was possible, but at the end of the day, well done Brentford. At the end of the day, 7 out of 10 predictions correct for the first match week. I'm pretty happy, and if we can do that throughout the season, I'd be quite happy with that. Which of course, guys, if you do end up liking the series, if you are new, if you are not subscribed, make sure that you do subscribe to this channel, as I will be posting my weekly prediction series every single week. That's what weekly means, but if you're not subscribed, make sure to do so, and I'd love to hit 1,600 subscribers before my next match week prediction video. But jumping straight into my predictions for this upcoming week, we start off with the likes of Liverpool versus Burnley, and I am going to give Liverpool a 2-0 win. Now, looking at Liverpool, obviously they won their first game versus Norwich 3-0. It was a pretty comfortable win, and Mo Salah scoring goals on an opening match weekend, it's just guaranteed. If there are 2 guaranteed things in life, it is Mo Salah scoring on an opening weekend and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being in a jungle-related movie. Dwayne, I don't know what's going on with you, but if it's your thing, it's your thing, I guess. But Mo Salah, once again, starting off very strong. The likes of Jota looking very strong. Liverpool just looking strong at the end of the day. And versus Burnley, look, I thought Burnley started off really strong versus Brighton. Obviously, they started off with a lead. I thought in terms of their corners, in terms of their headers, they seemed really, really deadly. But at the end of the day, they did seem to struggle versus wide attacking play. That is why Brighton ended up winning. That is why Burnley ended up losing. And of course, losing against attacking wide play. I think versus Liverpool, that is kind of Liverpool's thing. If there's one thing you could describe about Liverpool, it is their wide attacking play, even when they don't have Robertson in their squad. So you know what, Liverpool's wide attacking play versus Burnley, I feel like Liverpool will get a pretty comfortable 2-0 win, if not even a 3-0 win. And in terms of the player to watch, once again, although it's not an opening weekend, I feel like I just have to go for the Egyptian king. I feel like I do have to go for Mo Salah. I think he's going to be very crucial in this game. Let's see what happens. Now, moving on to the second game for match week 2. It is going to be Manchester City versus Norwich, and I am going to give Manchester City a very comfortable 4-0 win. I'm sorry, Norwich. I know you guys are expecting Timo Pukki to score a hat-trick to absolutely dominate Manchester City.
It's false. No way. Not this time.
Well, maybe not. But at the end of the day, I do like this Norwich team. I feel like in terms of their attack, they have so much potential to them. I really like their goalkeeper, Tim Krul. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers on his day. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, Manchester City, this is no secret by now, they are a fantastic team. Defensively, not bad. Midfield-wise, attacking-wise, they are a brilliant team. Once again, as I said, I feel like they still do need a new striker. But versus Norwich, I do expect Manchester City to get the win. Which, by the way, guys, if you have not seen, obviously last week, Manchester City ended up losing to Spurs. I did make a video talking about everything that we could have learned from that game. One of the points I spoke about is the fact that I feel like grealish would have had more of an impact on that game if he played as a winger as opposed to a midfielder, and a bunch of other stuff. So if you want to know the other 4 things that we learned in that game between Manchester City and Spurs, make sure to check that video in the eye thingy up above, or that side. I'm still not sure. I've been doing YouTube for 3 years and I'm still not sure which side. But in terms of Manchester City versus Norwich, I feel like Manchester City will get the win. I'd like to say Grealish to be the player to watch, but I think Riyad Mahrez, an absolutely fantastic player. Mahrez, I mean, he rarely ever fails us, and I feel like this game is going to be another example of that. Now the third game is going to be Leeds United versus Everton. Now, I was a bit conflicted in terms of predicting this game, so I asked you guys on my community post on YouTube, which, by the way, once again, if you subscribe, obviously you can join my community post and vote on all the polls on my channel. But obviously you guys think that Everton will win, and I seem to agree with you guys. Look, looking at Leeds United versus Manchester United, look, obviously I wouldn't describe a 5-1 loss as a very good result, to be honest with you.
Cheers, Jeff.
I think it was one of Leeds United's worst games. Obviously, versus Manchester United, they've struggled over the last 2 years in terms of their defensive play. They absolutely struggled versus the pace of Manchester United. But looking at Leeds versus Everton, I think it will be a close game, because looking at Everton, once again, the goal that they ended up conceding versus Southampton was due to a mistake, which, once again, just like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being in a jungle movie, the only other guaranteed thing in life is Everton making defensive mistakes. I don't know what it is about Everton's defense when everyone there seems to play for their national team. They are absolute heroes, but they just seem to fall apart in this Everton team. Whether Rafa Benitez is going to solve that, whether he is the right manager to solve their defensive problems, I'm not sure, but obviously Everton ended up getting the win, and I just look at Everton as a whole, and I feel like versus Leeds United, I feel like they'll exploit Leeds' defensive problems that we've seen for quite a while now that they still haven't managed to fix, and I think Everton will just scrape a win. I think it will be a 3-2 win, and the player to watch, I'm actually going to go for the likes of Richarlison, the gold medal Olympian, which never thought that would come. I mean, as a South African, I can't talk about too many gold medals for us this time around, unfortunately. I mean, I'm pretty sure South Africa got the same amount of gold medals as Richarlison, which really does hurt me to an extent, but Richarlison, a fantastic player on his day, a difference maker in terms of goals and assists, and I think he'll do that versus Leeds United. Now, the fourth game we'll talk about is going to be Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Now, I've said this on many occasions. I know lots of people disagree with me, but I don't think Crystal Palace are going to have a good season. Yes, they've got exciting young players that can create chances, but at the end of the day, we didn't see that enough, obviously, versus Chelsea, which I don't know if that's a good example for, because looking at Crystal Palace, obviously going against Crystal Palace, obviously versus last season's Champions League winners, it was bound to be a difficult game. But Crystal Palace versus Brentford, I'm going to give Brentford another win, you know. I thought they were great in that game versus Arsenal. Yes, of course, Arsenal started off very, very strong, but in terms of their attacking intensity, their midfield intensity, I feel like defensively they were very good, they were very smart. Raya, their goalkeeper, was fantastic. I think Brentford can manage a 2-0 win versus Crystal Palace and remain on the winning streak. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think Brentford will win their 2 games in a row in the Premier League. 100% record, that is absolutely going to be fantastic for them. And I think in terms of the player to watch, Canos was absolutely brilliant. Obviously, Ivan Toney's always one to watch for. There's another striker there, I can't remember his name, but I feel like he could be a player to watch. I'm sorry I ended up forgetting his name, but I feel like this Brentford team really has something special to them and has potential to go far this Premier League season. Let's see how they do versus Crystal Palace. Now the next game is going to be Aston Villa versus Newcastle United. I mean, Aston Villa, where do I start? A loss versus Watford in your opening game. I mean, looking at Aston Villa, they've got fantastic players. They've brought so many good players in over the summer, and at the end of the day, to lose versus Watford, they will not be happy. And I think it all comes down to the fact that I don't know if they have the correct midfield. Obviously, McGinn is a fantastic midfielder, but in terms of another defensive midfielder, I don't feel like Nakamba is quite there yet. I mean, Watford just sliced through Aston Villa's midfield throughout the entirety of that game like a hot knife. In fact, that knife was so hot and slid through so easily, it could have been on the YouTube trending page about 2-3 years ago. But Aston Villa versus Newcastle United, I believe could scrape a win. I feel like it is going to be a 2-1 win or something along that lines. Obviously, looking at the likes of Newcastle United, I feel like versus West Ham, they didn't start off bad. I feel like in terms of their attacking intensity, I mean, Saint Maximin is just on a whole new level. He is fantastic. I feel like he will be my player to watch. But saying that, I feel like Aston Villa are going to win. Once again, yes, I don't always make the player to watch on the losing team, but just the way that Saint Maximin played in that previous game versus West Ham, I just feel like he will be the difference maker. If Newcastle United win, I will put it down to him. Obviously, if the likes of Joe Willock plays, that would be absolutely fantastic. Which, why, by the way, I mean, Joe Willock joining this team with the likes of St. Maximum, Callum Wilson, I mean, this attack is looking tasty, and Steve Bruce don't get any ideas when I say the word tasty. But at the end of the day, they did struggle to kind of defend on the wide attacking play versus West Ham, and because they struggled on the wide attacking play and because their midfield wasn't so good in that game, that is why I am going to give the win in Aston Villa's favour. Now, next up, we've got Brighton versus Watford. I am going to give Watford the win in this, a 2-1 win. I feel like Sarr is going to be the player to watch because he was fantastic in that game. Once again, Brighton, I think, had a really good game versus Burnley, but versus Watford, just because of how impressed I was versus Aston Villa, that is why I'm giving Watford the win. In terms of their attacking intensity, once again, their speed can be really dangerous. Defensively, they weren't bad at all, so I have to give Watford the win in this one. Next up, we've got the likes of Southampton versus Manchester United. Now, as a Man U boy myself, I mean, I'm 20 years old, I'm barely a boy anymore.
Are you sure about that?
Manchester United, obviously, last time these two teams played against each other, it was a 9-0 win. Is it going to be another 9-0 win? I'd like to think so, but let's be honest, it's not going to happen. I do think United will get a comfortable 3-0 win though. Once again, although Southampton started off strong in their game versus Everton, once again, just too many mistakes. I feel like their defense, especially now without Vestergaard, they are just not strong enough. They don't have Ings up front. Yes, the likes of Armstrong started off very strong versus Everton, but at the end of the day, I just don't see enough in the Southampton team to beat Manchester United, especially if they've got the likes of Jadon Sancho, Raphael Varane joining the squad. I feel like Manchester United will get a comfortable win, and my player to watch in a game like this, it just had to be Bruno Fernandes. I would like to say Raphael Varane, but the way Bruno Fernandes played in that game and Paul Pogba, that connection was beautiful, and I can see it happen this time around once again. Now, next up, the third last game is going to be Wolves versus Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, as I said, Tottenham Hotspurs kind of surprised me versus Manchester City. No, they weren't the absolutely dominant side, but they looked 100 times more deadly in attack. I feel like that Lucas Moura and Heung-min Son kind of connection up front, I feel like that link-up play was really deadly in that game. And if we see that versus Wolves, 100%, I can see Nuno Santo beating his old team. Going to be a tiny bit of a heartbreak for him either way, no matter what happens. Either his current team loses or a team that he achieved so much loses. But I do think Spurs are the better team. I don't feel like Jimenez is quite there in terms of being fully sharp in terms of his gameplay for Wolves. I feel like Wolves had a few decent chances in their previous game versus Leicester City. But in terms of their defense, they just seem too slow. They made too many errors and they left too many gaps in defense. And versus a team like Tottenham Hotspurs with the pace, as I said, I feel like Wolves' defense is too slow for Spurs' attack. I feel like Spurs' attack is going to dominate it. It will be a 2-0 win. And I feel like the likes of Lucas Moura will be the player to watch. Although he didn't get the goal versus Manchester City, he was just on another planet in terms of his chances created, his passes, his absolute everything in a game like that. Now, the second last game, obviously this will be the big one. Romelu Lukaku playing for Chelsea, hopefully, versus Arsenal. Now, funnily enough, I mean, football is such a strange thing because looking at Arsenal, they've been dreadful over the last 2 years, has been the lowest point of their entire club's history, almost in my opinion, especially in the Premier League era, versus Chelsea, who have recently won the Champions League. Yet in the last 2 years, Chelsea haven't won a game versus Arsenal, I believe, which is really weird to think about, but this time around, I feel like Chelsea will win. I feel like it will be a comfortable 3-1 win. I just look at Arsenal and I feel like defensively made too many mistakes. They were just too rash and too fast and too hasty to get the ball out in defense in terms of clearing. They just didn't look like a complete team. And yes, I understand Arsenal didn't have Aubameyang or Lacazette, but at the end of the day, just defensively looking at Arsenal, I had too many points to pick at, and I feel like versus Chelsea, especially last season's Champions League winners, I feel like Chelsea just looks so strong, especially with Romelu Lukaku in their striker position. Chelsea is the complete team. They've got the right depth, they've got the right quality, and Chelsea should dominate a game like this, especially looking at them versus Crystal Palace. I mean, obviously a weaker team, but Chelsea just looks so strong. If Lukaku's in the squad, I think he could bang in 2 to 3 goals, to be honest with you. Do I think he'll get a debut hat-trick for Chelsea? Probably not. I can imagine 2 goals in my opinion. And I want to ask you guys to put down in the comment section down below, before we get into my final prediction, who do you think will score more goals this Premier League season? Harry Kane or Romelu Lukaku? I'm interested to see what you guys think. But jumping into the final game of Premier League Match Week 2, which of course, don't forget, if you have enjoyed this content, if you are new to my channel or just not subscribed, make sure to subscribe down below. But of course, we've got West Ham United versus Leicester. Now, once again, this is a game which I was really tilting to either side. I have my arguments for both sides. Obviously, looking at Leicester City, Fofana is out in the long term, but they have brought in the likes of Vestergaard. I feel like looking at Leicester City, they didn't have nearly their strongest team versus Wolves, yet they looked so deadly in terms of their pace, in terms of their attacking opportunities. They look deadly. Where, yes, West Ham United didn't start off strong by any means versus Newcastle United. But at the end of the day, West Ham United is such a strong team in terms of, once again, their attacking ability, their midfield, their defense, and the reason West Ham United could win a game like this is because they are ruthless for the full 90 minutes, and I feel like sometimes that's where Leicester City lacks. So because of that, I'm going to give West Ham United a 2-1 win. And in terms of the player to watch, once again, it is difficult. There are so many good players in this West Ham United team. Obviously, Soucek. I mean, I feel like if you put Soucek as the main striker of most teams, he could score more than most Premier League strikers. He is that good. He is a 20-goal a season kind of striker. But from the midfield position, once again, Soucek, absolutely brilliant. But I'm going to make my player to watch the likes of Cresswell in the left-back position. Once again, we saw that in their previous game versus Newcastle United. In terms of his attacking opportunities, he is a brilliant modern-day fullback. And he will be my player to watch in a fixture like this, although I am tempted to go for the likes of Antonio or a player like that. But guys, those are my predictions for Premier League Match Week 2. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Once again, if you're new to my channel or not subscribed, you don't want to miss more content, make sure that you do subscribe down below. But Match Week 2, we've got so many fantastic games. I mean, there are 4 or 5 games this weekend that I am absolutely excited to watch. Obviously, once again, Premier League season has started again. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait to see what the season withholds. Obviously, Match Week 1, I mean, some really exciting games, and it really shows you how unexpected the Premier League can be. But guys, this has been Finn, FY. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all of the good stuff. Can we get this video to 20 likes? Guys, cheers. Have a good one.